Hello people, Lamani here again, and recently I've been getting a lot of comments on my expedition gameplay. Like, what builds do I use, how do I heal, what do I think about, every piece of expedition healing under the sun. So, I figured I could give you a quick little video on healing rotation, build, gearing, setup, strategy, pretty much everything as it pertains to expedition specifically. This isn't going to be a super comprehensive deep dive, rather, I'm just going to give you what you need to know so that you can go into any expedition as a new healer in New World and succeed. I'd say expeditions along with invasions are probably the only domains of healing I haven't given my complete attention to yet as far as YouTube content, and while creating content for this channel, I want to have all my bases covered first for my main role in New World before stepping into other guides and builds for other roles. So enjoy this little quick dive, I'll call it, while I run Garden of Genesis to help you understand your priorities in endgame expedition content. Let's get after it. Alright, so what do I do first when preparing for any expedition? Do your research. Know what mob types are in there. Know what they're resistant to or what they're weak to so that you can tell people what types of weapons to use. Figure out, is there blight or corruption in the expedition? Will you need a tincture? Figure out the big details to properly set yourself up to be able to compensate for any lack of knowledge that you may have mechanically in the dungeon. By knowing the types of mobs, you can use specific coatings. For instance, Angry Earth in Genesis will allow you to pump out more damage, doing about 11% more, so that you can spend less time on mechanically challenging enemies and have to do less healing because you burn them down faster. You can also have tinctures ready in order to avoid any mechanics or take reduced damage from something like Blight. It can really save the day when you're trying to figure out how to fight a new boss. In addition to this, bring some honing stones with to buff your weapon damage. While you are a healer, you still can put out a considerable amount of damage while healing teammates, especially when buffed up by honing stones and coatings. This can push damage checks faster and may result in less healing needed throughout the run. The other big thing is to make sure you have a proper number of consumables beforehand, as you won't be able to trade inside. So make sure you have plenty of mana potions and health potions. You'll be chugging those mana potions like no tomorrow if a boss fight gets too long. And health potions are just an incredible safety net to have in your back pocket if you go or if you just need an instant heal. So the first thing on the list is consumables, and do your research to see what you're going to need for the entire expedition. Alright everyone, so as is tradition, I'm just going to give you a little overview of the build, the attributes, the gearing, everything really fast. Without further ado, here is the build. I am using Hatchet and Life Staff for my expedition content. You're going to be used to this Life Staff build. Honestly, just refer to any guide I've put out about the Life Staff. Some key things to talk about: Blissful Touch, make sure you are shooting it through teammates and lining it up to hit a boss as well. We don't have to hit headshots, focus on shooting through and to. That's the goal there. A lot of healing can come out of this, 600 plus healing per person per shot. It's nuts. Sacred Ground, keep people in your Sacred Ground. This is going to heal for like 1100 over time, and because we have the Fortifying Sacred Ground perk, we'll give them Fortify as well on heal. And when they're in it, they get 50% more increase to all healing from everything that you do to heal. The rest of this, cooldown reduction, Intensify, keep weaving in your heavy attacks to keep 30% extra healing up. It's very easy just to throw in a heavy attack once in a while, and you can use it to remove debuffs. Also, keep in mind with things like Sacred Protection and Spirits United, these are very important to take. Not only will you get 5% increased healing to all friendlies in your group, you also increase the healing floor to Light's Embrace to 160%. Baseline all the time, no matter what, making it always better than Divine Embrace. There's just not really an opportunity to use Divine Embrace in comparison to Light's Embrace with the setup. Take the ultimate on this side, it's just extra healing if they get pretty low. As far as healing modifiers on this side, make sure you dash every time before you throw out a heal because we want to snapshot our heals. If you don't know what snapshotting is on your healing, it's just making sure that you have the highest level of effectiveness before putting out something like Sacred Ground or Beacon. So ideally we would want to dash, 3 Intensify stacks, Sacred Ground into Beacon to give them the most effective heal. And then in reference to Beacon, just make sure you're putting it either on the enemy, on the tank, or in a spot where people can actually stay in it because they can no longer toe dip just for the heal over time. They have to stay in it now. It's best to either put it on the tank or the boss. But in general, this is our life staff setup. If you want more info, like I said, go to the Outpost Rush guide, go to my healing build, how to heal guide. I'll have those linked in the description. This is what I would do though. For the Hatchet side of the build though, I would also say refer to the link in the description to the Outpost Rush guide. I really cover why this is great for healing in general, but in reference to expeditions, I'm not really going to touch on Berserker. We all know Berserker's great. The one thing on this side, Defy Death. If you feel like you're in a bad spot in the expedition, you're about to get hit by a mechanic, swap on your Hatchet instead of trying to heal yourself up and just take the Defy Death so that you get 3 seconds of immortality to keep yourself alive. Other than that, we take Infected Throw and we take Rending Throw. These are simply to debuff targets, whether you're on a trash pack whether you're on the boss, it is always effective to keep up rending throw because we can get up to 15% rend, meaning we have a 15% reduction in the target's damage absorption for 10 seconds. Very easy to see when that comes off a cooldown. Whip one out if you have no healing concerns. Same thing with infected throw. This is a defensive utility because it does apply weaken, reducing the boss's damage they would do by 10%. This is the Hatchet utility side of the build. You can also flex it if you watch the Outpost Rush guide into a heavy damage dealer. I use this for all sorts of content. This build is honestly the Swiss Army knife of healing utility in New World. You can use it for anything. As far as gearing, I go all medium. I'm going to just say this, I'm a medium lord. I don't like playing in heavy. I feel too clunky. You can play in heavy if you'd like. It's my preference. You do get a slight amount of increased healing, but it is not 10% like the tooltip says. As far as perks on the armor, the one thing you need is to have something with Fortifying Sacred Ground. Otherwise, just go for extra cooldown reduction, whatever you can get, but Fortifying Sacred Ground is an absolute must when you're a healer. As far as the gems go, I just run Onyxes. I have all tier 2s in just because I switch so much gear up, I buy so many gems. I'm just testing stuff. I think the most damage that you see is a hit from a physical shot. You can also run a diamond just to get both magical and physical absorption. As far as accessories, looking at your neck, you want a focus neck and you want max health increase. If you can also get divine on here, that'd be great too, but cooldown reduction is nice. On the ring, you have to have sacred. Outgoing healing increases as high as you can get. That percentage is really nice just on top of everything else. And then on my earring, I have a focus earring. It'd be nice if you want less threat. You can put a carnelian in your armor. Otherwise on the earring, we're going to want something like regenerating or cooldown reduction is great. Duplicating toast is a nice quality of life thing. Another really good one would be refreshing toast to get a faster cooldown. Weapons, life staff, just get blessed and refreshing move if you already have fortifying sacred ground on something, or blessed and fortifying sacred ground. You need blessed on your life staff. No ifs, ands, or buts. And then the hatchet. This is the only focus hatchet I could find. Just try to find a hatchet with focus for this. And then like those consumables we talked about, I have honing stones, I have tinctures and coatings. Keep those. And then food, you can always pop a nice little food buff. I don't have good food on me right now, but you could get like a 40 con food and get that last con bubble, push yourself up, do whatever you need to do to get more stats out of your loadout from your consumables. And then as far as attributes go, in a full focus setup, so ideally the strength wouldn't be here and be into focus, and then I just eat a focus con food or a con food to get this last bubble. The 300 bubble doesn't really matter for focus, and with 290 focus, I heal more than enough. It's not really a concern. We're just looking for survivability here. The focus, if anything, is just going to pump my damage up and healing a little bit more, but nothing too crazy. I'd rather have that survivability. So when I'm eating a food, I'll just eat a full con food. The important bubbles to hit are 150 focus for the increased healing output, and the 250 for extra mana on self and group kills. This is really good when you're just running through the dungeon, so you don't have to burn through mana pots. Otherwise, for con, you need at least 100 to increase your max health by 10% of your physical armor. Let's talk about healing settings really fast. Healing settings are super important to make sure that you can optimally target your party. There's one big thing that I would change. So this is what I have on. I have targeted healing on, freeform camera on, this off, sticky lock off, manual target lock on, group mode on. I keep group mode on when I'm healing my party specifically, but if you're in something like Outpost Rush, you can turn this off so that you can target anybody out in the world while you're in that Outpost Rush. The really, really, really big one to have though is turn on freeform camera. If you have this off, it'll spin your camera around and make you vomit because anybody you target, it'll try to follow. It is just a very nice quality of life thing that makes it easier to heal and see what you're doing. Okay, so what is the rotation in an absolute perfect world? You won't see that exactly every single time throughout my clips. It's impossible to always do it completely perfect. But in an ideal setting, what you would do is you'd start off with 3 heavy attacks to get your Intensify rolling, dash to get Bend Light, and then you would either beacon or Sacred Ground depending on what's going on. I would beacon if there's not really a ton of damage going out and you just need something to keep your melee topped off, and if you know that they're still going to be moving around. Typically, I will always put beacon on either the boss or the tank. Those are the 2 points of interest where beacon can be used most efficaciously. Option B, I would Sacred Ground. If somebody's taking some heavy damage like the tank, put the Sacred Ground on them so that they can get some increased healing, and then beacon afterwards to snapshot it and give them enough healing over time where none of them will have any concerns. Once they're all set and everybody's topped off and has heals over time, you can switch over to your hatchet, throw a rending throw, throw an infected throw to keep the boss debuffed so that more damage can go into the boss and less comes out. You'll then just keep your Light's Embrace in your back pocket as your safety net. If anybody starts taking too much damage, or if you're concerned about somebody's health, you can get it ready to cast, pre-cast as they're about to take damage, and top them off instantly. Your Light's Embrace acts as your last line of defense. Do not just willy-nilly burn cooldowns. You never know when you're going to need something. Alright, let's dive into an actual boss fight and tell you what I'm thinking and feeling at the points at which they're happening. When we open up on this boss, I'll hit him to get some Intensify stacks going, then I just realized there's so much damage going out that I just need to put down a Sacred Ground right away. This is one of those oh crap situations where you just need to get the healing going out right away, and so I double it up with Beacon because people are getting hit by some stuff. Right after that, I have my ground set, I'll whip out my Hatchet, throw out Rending Throw and Infected Throw to help out. You can heavy attack a lot when there's no healing to be done, so that you can just do extra damage. In general, it's going to be best just to light attack so that you can heal through everybody, but what's the point of doing that if there's no damage to actually be healed and your heals over time can handle the work? The goal is just to keep refreshing your cooldowns, keep your eyes on your health bars, throw out Light's Embraces as they're needed when you don't have anything else to cover your back. In general, my eyes are never really looking at the boss. Sure, occasionally I take a peek at my crosshair, but I'm looking at my character's feet and the blue bars in the top left. That is all. That is my main focus. That's my priority. When it comes to beacon usage as well, make sure to keep that up and stick it to something like the tank or the boss to give everybody proper healing. On that note, don't be afraid then for yourself to go run up into it to toe dip, because as a healer, you will still get that heal over time as you run away, and that's a great way to not have to burn a Light's Embrace on yourself. So you want to just keep up putting as much damage as you can on the boss, keep your Rending Throws and Infected Throws going. Don't be afraid to do damage. Your heals over time will carry a lot of the work. Do not be afraid ever. Too many times I've been panicked and then I just burn a cooldown for no reason and it does nothing for me at all. You just need to be smart with your cooldowns. Sure, you can be a little bit more liberal when you're using Light's Embrace because the cooldown is so short, but Beacon and Sacred Ground have so much healing potential, and if that's wasted on a very, very small cooldown window, what's the point? You could have just wiped your entire group. Obviously, healing is the priority, and you are the priority because a dead healer does no healing, therefore the group cannot get any health back and people will die. So, make sure you are avoiding mechanics. You'll see this boss has a lot of mechanics compared to other expedition bosses, so it's important to keep dashing, which helps us to keep our healing effectiveness up for literally everything, including blissful touches. And while you're doing that healing, you just have to keep your eyes open for mechanics. You'll see I have a group member die here because they just got hit by a random mechanic. Do not overextend yourself to save them if it is going to kill you. You can't save stupid. Something awesome you can do with this build is you'll see as the boss is charging up, I switched to my Hatchet because I'm not sure if I'm going to make it behind a boulder to avoid the mechanic. That way I would have cheated death, so I could have saved myself. Use your Hatchet as your last line of defense. And speaking to the group, using your voice, telling them, stay in my Sacred Ground, stay in my Beacon. That is extremely important for getting the most healing effectiveness in any group setting. Do whatever you can to make sure you can get that healing output with the least amount of stress. If your head's not clear, you're going to get hit by something. I think the biggest thing to really consider is to not tunnel. So many times in games you see damage numbers coming up and you hit a target, but what does that do for you as a healer? You are not the main damage source. Then you'll sit there and tunnel on the boss, want to put out more damage, especially when that health bar gets low, and then people will start to die. I just wanted to give you all this because people have been asking me about it and how I heal, what I think about when I'm doing it. So I'm just going to give you my whole thought process. If you have any questions about literally anything when you're healing, please just drop a comment. We'll have a nice little discussion down below. If you feel like there's something I missed, I'm going to link a couple of my videos in the description for things you should check out and why you should check them out. But in general, I hope this little bit of a change in more gameplay and thought-focused content really helps you out when you're trying to heal. So on that note, I just want to talk a little bit about the future of the channel and where we're going. Right now, we're actively working on making a Discord, doing things like that, getting some social stuff going. And then I'm really looking forward to possibly live streaming. So I just want to know, if you wanted me to start streaming, where would you like me to stream? Where would you be most likely to watch? Would you go on Twitch? Would you go on YouTube? What do you think? What's best for you? I want to connect with you all more. I want to put more time in this, and I want to keep putting out great content that we can all enjoy together. In order to keep doing that, I just need your support. So like always, I'm going to ask that you do that weird little YouTube stuff. Ring-a-ding that bell. Please like, comment, subscribe. Please. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Another thing you can do is hit up my Patreon. That'll also be linked in the description. thank you to everybody who's directly supporting me as of today. I'm going to read off your names like I normally would. And I know some people don't like this, but I like doing it anyway. So thank you, Jacob, Adrian, Thuggius, Shane, Gil, Schmeezy, Anarino, Ethan, Ajuro, Nathaniel, Thonar, Chad, Nicasio, Joseph, Tarvi, Mummy, Generic Guy, Ronan, Ralph, Bob, The Korean, Florian, and Blue Beagle. Thank you all so much. As always, I appreciate all of you being here, sitting through this. Let me know if you have anything else you want to talk about. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being you.